I don't understand how you could betray me like this.
Please have mercy. I beg you.
What could have made a groom not to recognize his wife any longer on their wedding night? Akin was 32 years, working in a decent company in Lagos, and by every standard, he was doing well for himself. He drove a clean Toyota Camry, lived in a 3-bedroom apartment in Lekki Phase 1, and dressed with classy. He was not that wealthy, but he was very comfortable. One evening at the club, Akin and his friend were chilling out while his friend Kule brought up the topic of marriage and what kind of woman each of them wanted. Kule said he wanted a woman with a good heart. Seun said he wanted a woman who is kind and submissive. But when it got to Akin, he leaned back in his chair, took a slow sip of his wine. I want a very beautiful and charming woman. End of story. I am not here for the school of thoughts that says looks does not matter. If I cannot look at my wife and feel proud, what is the point? I cannot be married to an ugly woman. God forbid. Kunle shook his head and laughed. Akin, you this guy, what if she's not that fine, but has a gold for a character? Who character help? All I want is beauty. Then, even if she does not have a character, I will work on her. His friends laughed over it. A few days later, while they were in club around 10 p.m., a young lady walked in. She was tall, with a smooth light skin that glowed under the club lights. Her makeup was done to perfection. She walked in and sat down with 2 of her girlfriends, not far from where Akin and his friends were seated. Akin saw her from across the room and couldn't take off his eyes from her. He tapped Kunle. Guy, see that girl over there? Kunle looked. Fine girl, Sha. Fine girl. That woman is a masterpiece, Akin said, already standing up. His friends laughed and cheered him on as he adjusted his shirt, picked up his drink, and walked over to a table with the confidence of a man who had done this many times before. He introduced himself and asked her name. She said Tosin. They talked for a few minutes, exchanged numbers, and by the time Akin got back to his table, he was already smiling, like a man who had just discovered a god. I think she likes me, he told his friends, and they all laughed. For the next few weeks, Akin and Tosin became regular guests at the club. She would show up, always looking gorgeous, with perfect makeup, and Akin was always excited to see her, always looking forward to having her on his arm. They would sit together for hours talking. Tosin was not just beautiful, she was also smart. She had a way of making Akin feel comfortable. She listened to him talk and ask questions. What Akin never noticed was that Tosin never let him see her without makeup, not even once. If he called her in the morning for morning hangouts, she would show up fully makeup. If they had a lunch date, she was always ready. He thought it was just how she was, a woman who likes to look good and classy. But there was something else Akin noticed, or rather, something he never thought to question. Tosin never invited him to her house. They always met at public places. And whenever he suggested picking her up at home, she always had the reason why it was not convenient. She would meet him somewhere instead. One evening, as they sat in their usual corner at the club, Akin looked at her and said, Tosin, I want to be serious with you. I have never met a woman like you. You are everything I want. I need you to know that I'm not playing games and I don't want another man to hijack this beauty. Tosin smiled. I like you too, Akin, she said, and you're a good man. Good, then let us make this official, he said. Be my woman properly. She agreed. 3 months into their relationship, Akin proposed. Some of his friends thought it was too fast. Kunle pulled him aside one day and said, Guy, 3 months is a small time. You don't even know the woman fully. I know enough, Akin said. She's beautiful. She understands me. What else am I looking for? What about her family? Her background? Have you met her people? Akin ignored it. We are still early. I propose because I know what I want. Marriage is the next step. The wedding was planned for 6 months. They went for their introduction, met each other's family, did the traditional engagement, and then the white wedding. Everything was moving fast. The wedding was beautiful. Tosin's makeup artist was one of the best in town. She came to the hotel room at 5 a.m. and did not leave until every single detail of Tosin's face was perfection. By the time Tosin put on her dress, she looked like a goddess. Akin, standing at the altar, almost could not breathe when he saw her walking down the aisle. He kept shaking his head slowly, whispering to his best man, See this beautiful woman I'm getting married to, smiling and blushing. His mother kept pulling people aside. See my daughter-in-law. Is she not stunning? God is good. They got to the hotel suites just after midnight. It was a beautiful room, soft lighting, rose petals on the bed, champagne on the side table. Everything was set for a romantic wedding night. Akin was in a great mood. He poured them both a glass of champagne. They toasted. They laughed about funny moments from the reception. Then Tosin said she was going to freshen up and she went to the bathroom. She stood in front of the mirror for a long time. She looked at her face, still fully made up from the wedding. She looked at the bottles of makeover remover on the counter. She took a deep breath. She had thought about this moment for months. She had imagined telling Akin the truth before the wedding. She had imagined sitting him down and saying, Listen, there is something I need to show you. But every time she tried, his words would come back to her. The things he said that first night at the club. God forbid I ever marry an ugly woman. I cannot be attracted to someone who is not beautiful. I won't settle. Those words had sealed her mouth every single time. She removed her makeup slowly. First the lashes, then the foundation, then everything else. And when she was done, she stared at herself in the mirror. Tosin had tribal marks, deep, bold marks on both cheeks. Boys in school had laughed and mocked her because of that. Men were not approaching her because of that. She has spent years feeling invincible, unloved and wanted. Then she discovered makeup. She learned how to do it by herself so as to conceal her marks, and everything turned around for her afterward. She stood there in the bathroom, looking at her real face, and then she slowly opened the door and walked out. Akin was sitting on the edge of the bed, scrolling through his phone when he heard the bathroom door open. He looked up, and then he froze. For a few seconds, he just kept staring at her. His brain was trying to process what his eyes were saying. The woman standing in front of him looked nothing like the woman he had been dating for 9 months. The smooth, flawless skin he had fallen in love with was gone. In its place was a face he had never seen before, a face with marks, multiple sets of deep tribal marks running down each cheek. "Who are you?" he shouted. "Akin, it's me. It's Tosin, your wife." "My wife? My wife?" It was breathing fast now. "What happened to your face? Where is my wife? What is this?" "Akin, calm down. I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain what exactly?" He was pointing at her face now. "You have tribal marks? You have been hiding your real face from me this whole time? 9 months, and you never showed me your real face." Tosin was crying now. "You said you could never marry an ugly woman or a woman with tribal marks. You've said it so many times. I was scared. I knew you would leave me if you saw my real face. I just wanted you to love me first." "Love you? You deceived me into marrying you. This marriage is over. I'm not staying. God forbid." "Akin, please, do not touch me." He grabbed his jacket, his car keys, and his phone. "I cannot look at you right now. I cannot do this." And just like that, on their wedding night, Akin walked out. Tosin sat on the floor and was shedding tears uncontrollably. By Sunday morning, family members were calling. Their pastors was involved. By Monday, both families had gathered at Akin's parents' house for an emergency meeting. Tosin sat in the corner of the room, no makeup, her real face on display for everyone to see, and she did not hide. She was done hiding. She has spent her whole life hiding, and she was tired. Akin sat on the other side of the room, arms crossed and looking angry. His father spoke first. "Akin, I want you to listen and listen well. That woman over there is your wife. You married her in church, before God and before man." "Baba, she deceived me. She protected herself," his mother said. "You walked around telling the whole world that you cannot love a woman with tribal marks. Are they not human beings also? How does tribal mark equate character? You said it everywhere. You built a wall around yourself. And this woman was so afraid of that wall that she had to hide herself just to get close to you. Is that her fault alone, or is it also your fault?" Kunle, his friend, who had been sitting quietly in the back, spoke up. "Akin, I told you. I told you that 3 months was too fast. I told you to know the person, not just the face. You did not listen. Now look at where we are." Then the pastor said something profound. "Akin, I want to ask a question from you. In 9 months of being with this woman, apart from her face, who was she? Was she dishonest in her character? Was she a bad person? Did she treat you badly?" Akin was quiet. But the truth was, no. Tosin had been wonderful, patient, caring, loyal, and submissive. The pastor continued. "She was wrong to hide this from you. That is the truth. But you also created an environment where she felt she had no choice. Both of you made a mistake. The question now is not who was more wrong. The question is whether you are man enough to choose love over vanity. Do you know that beauty can fade? God forbid she is involved in a fire accident that gets her face burned. Will you abandon the marriage because of that? Beauty will attract you to a woman, but it is her character that will sustain the marriage. Beauty will never sustain your marriage." It took 2 weeks of counseling, of arguments, of prayer, of long, honest conversation, but eventually, Akin went back to his wife. Tosin was not perfect. She could have been honest with him before the wedding. That was a mistake, and it took real work for Akin to forgive her and for trust to be rebuilt between them. But Akin was also not perfect. He has spent years worshipping beauty and dismissing everything else. And he had to sit with the truth of how his words had made a woman feel so worthless that she had to hide her own face just to be loved. Hiding who you are to win someone else's love is not love. And the foundation of any real relationship must be built on honesty. Akin lost sight of what actually makes a marriage work. Those things last long after beauty fades. Beauty is good. Nobody is saying it does not matter, but it is not everything, and it will never be enough on its own to hold a marriage together. Choose the whole person. Choose wisely. We finally come to the end of today's story. This story is brought to you by Tales by Timmy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.